All right, guys, we're back. We're doing Married at First Sight, season 16, episode 11. Okay, so Kirsten and Airris, I am not doing this shit with you, either one of you. I can't, if I close, well, no, if I actually just sat down and just read text, said person one and person two, I would think that they were the same person. I'm like, y'all trying to trick me. This has to be the same person because that's all I hear. That's all I hear. And again, everybody talked about Dom. Responsible. I'm seeing her as being responsible because Airris knows. He fully understands why he's not attracted to this woman. He's not telling her the truth. Okay, let me say, he's not telling her the whole truth. He's telling her just enough of the truth to make himself comfortable. He is what it is omission. This is what he's doing. He is omitting things that he knows and that he knows that she needs to know. So, and so is Kirsten. Girl, we heard you tell Dr. Pepper the amount of inches that you needed. Do I need to go back and clip that, Kirsten? I might actually have to go back and go get that for y'all. Okay? So, that has to be one of her issues. Somebody put that in the comments, and I agree. I agree with that. And I've been saying about his testosterone. So I think those two are closely aligned, together. So when she said it, when they put it in the comments, I was like, yeah. That's just totally the way I feel as well. And with Jasmine, I feel like it's more spiritual. I actually feel like it's supposed to be. And it might be like that, with Kirsten. Because I told you that she's in the sorority, Delta Sigma Theta. And if you go and you look at Greek life, the whole, what is it? Oh, Lord, I can't say it. Okay, they call them D9, sorority fraternities. You go look it up and find out what that means. But, because it's blasphemous. But, so you have AKAs, which are the girls, and they normally end up dating and hanging out and really being brother and sister relationship with Alpha Phi Alpha. And that's what Shaq is. So what are the other ones? Zeta Phi Beta is the sister organization to Phi Beta Sigma. So, and then I forgot who the Kappas are with, who they line up with. I think they go between Deltas and maybe AKAs. But then Deltas and Omega Psi Phi are supposed to be the brother and sister thing. As a matter of fact, her line sister, the one that she had in her bridesmaid, she's married to someone that's Omega Psi Phi. So I can understand where Kirsten gets this request that she made to Dr. Pepper. And for somebody as refined as she is, I'm really surprised at her for being willing to have that conversation, to have that kind of conversation, on camera, now that I'm actually thinking about it. So, yeah, we're Kirsten and Airris. They keep saying the same thing over and over again, thinking that that's going to change something. So if I continue to call myself a loser, then how am I going to move out of loser status into winner status if I keep calling myself a loser? And the thing I liked about Airris's little get-together he had with his friend, the friend asked him, well, what are you going to do? Or do you have a plan, or do you just say, F it? And Airris is still trying out the same old tired line. And so it's very disappointing to see him not embrace this experiment. This is what he could have found out so much information about himself, but instead he's making it about Jasmine. I'm really curious what's going to happen with this conversation with the mother that's going to be on the next episode. So, and Kirsten, what were they doing? Okay, I'm hopping all over the place. Okay, so this is all right. So I think there was the episode, one of the scenes at the beginning of the episode is Kirsten talking to one of her friends or a family member that was at the wedding. And she's not being truthful in this video. She's giving her friend the impression that Shaq has suddenly changed from the dude that he was at the wedding to something that's unacceptable to her today. So the other lady that she was with, she was confused. She was like, wait a minute, because he was all over you with the wedding. How has he manifested into this man that's not showing up saying, hello, honey, and giving you hugs and kisses, when he comes home from work? But see, I didn't hear Kirsten tell her that she told him she didn't want to kiss him. And like Shaq said, later in the episode, you were to the point where you didn't even want me to touch you. So how is he supposed to stay in that same position that he was in at the wedding until today with all of the back and the forth and the up and the down and the diagonal and the sideways and the backwards, okay, that she is mixing him around in right now? I did not appreciate her conversation. The other thing, too, Shaq said on the after show that, who is it? Nicole leaves messages under the door with suggestions, for him. And they talked about it. And Rudy asked him if he thought that was Kirsten going back. This is Nicole coming back with stuff that Kirsten has gone to say to him and that Kirsten is going to say it to Nicole instead of saying it to Shaq. And he actually agreed with that. Because Airris came and told him something that Jasmine said. Jasmine said, well, she said that Shaq is not doing the R&B and, got the chandelier, in position. So if he did those things, then he'd be in the house. And that's not what Kirsten is telling Shaq. So I call all B's and all S's on Airris and Kirsten. That conversation, I want you guys to go back down there and listen to it. It was insane. The conversation that Airris had with his friend, the other thing that I wanted to say, that I agree, on the after show, Rudy said that she liked him because she felt like he was holding Airris to account. Because Mr. Sex, I talk about sex to have sex. I talk about sex because sex is interesting. I talk about sex to break the ice in the conversation. I talk about sex, because who doesn't want to talk about sex? I mean, he sounds like the dude from the bubblegum shrimp. What, you got chocolate shrimp, you got barbecue shrimp, you got lemon pepper shrimp, you got all kinds of shrimp. I mean, my goodness, Airris. He thinks, now see, this is where I'm seeing where him and Mac, while they're so close, are friends. Because stuff that Airris thinks is funny is really not that funny when it comes to women. That might work with men, but you're going to have to tailor your conversation when you're talking to a woman. And I see that as a disconnect for him with Jasmine. Because as much as she likes him, you can see that the way that he brings his conversation over to her is not appealing to her. And Airris thinks that he has the ability to change that conversation when he finds someone that he actually likes. And I'm not sure that that's true, just because of his ego. We think that we have control over our minds until we don't. And it happens in subtle ways. That's why they get you in advertising. So when you go and you just must have a Coca-Cola instead of just having a cola or getting a Pepsi. Do they even have Pepsi anymore? Oh, I'm sure they do. Yeah, I know they got Diet Pepsi because I know people that drink them. But anyway, you understand what I mean. So to me, a Pepsi and a Coke taste the same. But to die-hard Pepsi and a Coke drinker, them jokers, their taste buds can go all the way down to the molecule about what they don't like about either one of those drinks. And I just don't want my mind captured like that. I like to be able to make my own choices and be cool with whatever choice, I'm making. And not have to agonize because somebody likes Coke and somebody, likes Pepsi. That's just ridiculous. So with what Rudy was saying about his friend, yeah, I could really respect that because I don't, because I'm thinking Felina was just jumped in my head. He does have people in his family that would be in his face and tell him the truth. So, I don't know. I don't even know. But the fact that he would be getting information, the same information from multiple places, I would like to believe would make him consider what people are trying to tell him. He said on the thing, on the outtake, that, I want to take advice from anybody. Felina, my cousin, Cheese, my mama, Pastor Cal, Dr. Pepper, Jesus. No, he didn't say Jesus. That was me. But yeah, he tried talking about he'll take advice. No, Airris, because people are actually giving you good information and you're still not doing anything with it. So I'm telling you, it's BS's all day I could do a tennis match between the two of them. Volley after volley. They be hitting them back and forth to each other because they're on the same page. They're swinging off the same swing. They're singing out the same handbook. Okay? So, what else do I have here? Shaq. I like what Shaq said earlier on, I think it was last week's episode, where he said that he has to focus on making sure that he maintains his level of happiness so that he can make her happy. And it kind of made me think about when you're on a plane and they tell you to put the mask on yourself first before you try to put the mask on a child. And that's what I heard when I heard him say that. Because Kirsten is exhausting. I don't know if y'all ever... There was this group named Wham back in the 80s. This was George Michael. And he had a song called Everything She Wants. It's Everything She Seeks. Oh, man, I'm going to go ahead and clip that. And I want you guys to go down there and check that out. That is one of the funniest songs I have ever heard in my entire life. And it's true. And I think about Kirsten. I see Shaq and I see Kirsten when I listen to that. So y'all, if you think it's funny, you get it, I like it if you let me know in the comments. Okay, so where else are we? Oh, I'm looking at my notes. I said that Kirsten not telling the truth. Oh, she made me mad when she did that, Christian. She ain't nothing but a tear. I'm telling you, girl. Okay, neither of you should. Oh, yeah. So one thing, too, I have to go back. When she was talking to her friend, she was saying that now she feels like Shaq is putting up walls. And she's already got up walls. So she said that the two of them can't have walls up because the relationship is not going to work. This is how selfish she is. So, Kirsten, if he can't have up any walls, why should you be able to have walls up? What kingdom are you living in that says that Kirsten's walls are certified and approved, but Shaq's walls, then no, we can't have that. There is something wrong with this girl. I'm not doing it. I ain't doing this with her. I'm not doing this with Kirsten. I ain't doing it with Airris either. And I felt like she was gaslighting Shaq. Okay, so let me move up to when they did their month-anniversary date. I didn't think that any of the month-anniversaries were that special. The best one was the helicopter ride. And I've been on a helicopter ride, so I can attest to, what was going on, like with them. So that was it was great. It was great. So yeah, Chris, he gets surprised, for that one. And the rest of them, I mean, if I think to rank them, I will. But I know which ones that I thought, was the best. And so on their month anniversary, Shaq planned skating. So I thought that was good because he did hear something that she liked. And he actually admitted that she's a good skater. He said she can outskate him. So that actually worked out, for him. That he focused on something that he understood, that she would like. So I think that doing those kinds of things will help him be able to draw some of that information out of her that he's, looking for. And she looked like she was having fun until she sat down and started eating. And she was telling him of the whole song and dance. Oh, we got to be intentional. Oh, we have to spend time together. Oh, we got to talk. I mean, what she is saying is she want to hear you talk. That's what it is. And with Shaq, I'm understanding him to say that his spending time is something different than her spending time. He thinks that her spending time is sitting on the couch, looking at each other's eyes and talking about their feelings and all this, that, and the third. His spending time includes that, but it also includes doing things like excursions. And she said that she wanted to travel, so he should take her up on that offer. And then I think that she'd be able to give him more credit for the whole spending of time thing. So if he did that for her, and then she still said that he wasn't spending time with her, if I was him, I would kindly go and take her back to her mother, and just leave her on the doorstep. Yeah, because you would never be able to satisfy her. I'm telling you, go down there and listen to that song that I'm gonna link, and just tell me what you think. So, what else with them? I think the next thing with Kirsten and Shaq is when they were at the dinner, the couple's dinner, and then the inevitable question about the status of their relationship came up. And Kirsten, does the last time I think that she maneuvered that well was at the last dinner of the honeymoon. After then, I don't think that she's been doing as well in her communication. Like, she didn't do well with her communication with Pastor Cal. Shaquille didn't like that because he had to defend himself and say, well, I think that there's, connectivity because you laying on my chest, you rubbing on my head, you doing this. So he actually had to pull things out as evidence of where he was coming from. And then she did it again at dinner when he's thinking that they are in a more intimate space than she thinks that they are. And it's not until somebody asks her that question at dinner that she decides to just tell everybody instead of, having that conversation with him. So when they got back to to their living space, he confronted her, about it. And it's clipped down there, so I invite you guys, to go look. And so the thing that I actually, really appreciated with him is that he was telling her, this is where I am in frustration with you, okay? Why should I choose to be in a relationship with somebody that can't understand what I need, in a relationship? I'm trying to do this with you. I'm here. I'm volunteering, to be that dude, that you said that you wanted. And he didn't. He had to tell her all the progress and things that she thought that she was giving to him. He didn't see it. So I don't know if she's used to people, actually telling her that. Because there's another thing that's clipped down there too. Is one of the flashbacks where she was talking to Dr. Pepper, and she was like, "Yeah, well, if I say that I want something, then I should be able to get it." See, there's this girl. I don't know where they raised her and what kind of what they was feeding her, but she full of it. Whatever it is, she is chock full, and she doesn't understand the world that she's living in. And I don't know what to say about her. Okay, is this it? Yeah, so I'm saying that the gaslighting part is she knows that, because this was just last episode when he asked her with the blindfolds, you know, she asked him a question, and then he turned around and asked her that same question. And she didn't have an answer for him. I mean, her lips, her lips shut up. Like it was a vault, and there was nothing he could do to pry them juggles open, okay? You were not going to get her to utter a word. And so now, a week later, you're saying, when you know that you're not giving him this level of information, what is it that she expected him to say? And I was proud of him for letting her know that, yeah, if that is what you was laying down, that I didn't pick that up. Oh, my God. So, yeah, I see Kirsten as caught up in a fantasy of some mess that she was taught that doesn't exist today. The man that she looking for, child, if he did exist, that joker is gone. He is gone the way of the dodo. He does not exist. A new species has been, has sprouted up in his place. And now you're going to have to learn how to deal with the animal that is in front of you. Not the one in your head. The one that is here today. The one whose chest that you're laying on. So, so that's the other thing, too. When Shaq was asking her, well, why can't you tell me? Why do you have to wait until we get in front of company before you're giving me this information? She said, well, you have to ask. If I don't tell you, then you need to ask. And he did ask Kirsten. And 2 times, I can remember that he asked, you deftly dodged one question at the honeymoon when she was telling him that she didn't appreciate his humor sometimes. And he was like, okay, wait a minute. So you don't like my bald head. You don't like my humor. What do you like? And she did not answer that question. It is actually clipped down there. I don't know what it is, but it's when they're on the vacation. And, wow, I said the Shaq was doing something. He said, I want to understand you, or I want to hear you, or something like that. It's when they were on their honeymoon. And, yeah, he asked her, he said, well, what do you like? I'm finished with this conversation. And it was the equivalent. Now that I actually go back and think about it, what she did then was the equivalent of her keeping her lips shut. But she did it more deftly. And she was more, she stood on all her 10 toes, when she did it. So he gave her that grace and then pushed her. And it seems like he actually did the same thing this time. Because if you go, I think it's the last video that I have there with the after party, or the second to the last. Rudy asked him, no, I think the guest asked him, somebody asked him what happened after the camera, went off with that last conversation that they had after the couples party. And he said they just went and had a drink, and they actually sat down and talked. And he took a step back within himself and said, okay, if she's saying that this is the kind of time that she wants to spend with me, then I'm going to do this. Because I actually agree with that. Because then he can really say, I did what you asked me to do, and I still didn't get the result that you said that I would get. So it's almost like he's being scientific with this. And I can appreciate, his methodology. So I'm trying to think if there was anything else. But yeah, I encourage you guys to go down there and read those clips. Let me see. Yeah, so yeah, Kirsten, the hypocrisy. You need to ask. The same thing she did. So this is the 3rd time, actually. Because, and he doesn't know this though. So she said to her bridesmaid, he needed to ask to kiss her. And then when the bridesmaid went back and told Shaq, so the bridesmaid is being like a Nicole now. What Nicole is doing now is the same thing that the bridesmaid did to Shaq at the wedding, and told him, hey man, you need to ask her. Just ask her. So then he asked her, and she still told him no. And then she kept moving the goalposts. So then she told him no. She was like, oh, well, I'm not a good kisser. And then, whatever it is, that she's telling him now. Apparently, they're supposed to be kissing on the next episode, but I'm really just over it. I mean, but if Shaq is here for it, he the one that's got to be there, not me. So, whatever. And okay, I did say that one, so thank you. I'm almost done with them. So yeah, one of the things that I was thinking about with her, because I'm not Kirsten's enemy, I'm just not gonna sit here and listen to her B and her S. I'm gonna call it out, and I'm gonna do it in love, because I understand why she could be, where she is. But it's the same thing with Nate, and this is why I wanted to be able to say that. I said the same thing about Nate. Nate wanted X, Y, and Z. And then when it showed up, he didn't know what to do. He was like the dog that caught the car. And Kirsten was kind of like that too. Now that you got what you said that you wanted, you don't know what to do with it. You can't even really appreciate and see the opportunity that's, before you. So now what are you going to do? And I just, if this girl don't go and get herself some therapy, I just don't see her being able to have the kind of relationship that she says that she wants, for herself. It's just, I don't see it working out. I just don't. So, and then the other thing I have here is that I do feel like Shaq and Jasmine are they're really getting shafted by Airris and Kirsten, because they're not able to really get the full experience, of the experiment, because of the mess that their spouses, have going on. And I'm thinking, who was I thinking about? I'm hoping, the reason why I tolerate Jephte is because of Shanice. The way that Jephte acted at the beginning of his marriage, he's one of the few people that acted and tore up his honeymoon that's still married, today. So I was thinking about that, earlier too. All right, so let me talk about Gina and Clint, because Clint keeps jumping up and down in my head. So what were they doing? The month anniversary thing. So they got together with Nicole and Chris, and they went on this bus thing. And I clipped that down there, so I didn't really have to talk about it. Then after the bus thing, they went to this moonshine place, and they enjoyed and imbibed on some moonshine. Apparently, they make them in all flavors now. And Clint did his best to taste as many of them as he possibly could. Because the next scene that we see him in, he's eating cold pizza and trying to hydrate himself from his previous night out. So I thought that was an interesting scene. I guess the biggest thing out of it was that they got to a conversation about the women changing their name. And, of course, Lindy and Miguel showed up. And I'm sure that Lindy knows that she could have handled that whole thing in a completely different way. I actually really appreciated the conversation that Nicole and Gina had about it, that they want to know that they're on solid ground before they take that next step and going to, change their names. Because Stasha, I'm going to be a Barnes. Even if me and Nate don't make it, I'm going to be a Barnes. And now she back to her maiden name, whatever it is. Yeah, she's not a Barnes. So, girl, I'm telling you, child. Stasha make my head hurt. Okay, so what else with Clint and Gina? What are we doing with Clint and Gina? Yeah, I talked about that. Oh, their month anniversary thing. I think they went on a hike to a waterfall. And I guess one of the biggest things with them is that he's manifesting his love, for Hank, which I think is cool. The thing about Clint that's starting to jump up and down in my head is Chris. I have been thinking about Chris and how he said to Nicole that he was telling her this because he wanted her to hear it from him just in case, like, we understand he's saying that she sees it on the show, that she hears it, from somebody else, that he wants to head it off at the pass, especially while they're in a good place, because she was able to give him grace, for that, even though she still didn't appreciate, what he said. So I remember Clint telling the guys and having the outtakes about Gina obsessing about her business so much that he accused her of coming on the show to promote her business. So I'm thinking that Clint should do that. He should do the same thing that Chris did. I hope that that's something that doesn't come and bite him in the ass later. I can see it. It just jumped in my head. And because he and Gina are having a really good time right now. And I've seen this before on Married at First Sight. And I guess if you go and look at that last after party, I have the next week's upcoming scenes. And she's talking to Dr. Pepper, and she's saying to her that it's easier for her to be vulnerable with a woman than it is with men. And if she allows herself a level of comfort with Clint, and he hasn't cleaned up that mess that he did about her and her salon, I hope she's in a place where she can give him grace. So we'll see how that works out, for him. Because it's detrimental, when you do that, when you go and you let people know negative things that you feel about the person that you're with, when you go back and y'all get back together, y'all forgive each other, the people that you told, they ain't never going to forget that you told them that. They're always going to remember that. And that's a wound that you will have caused. And so, this is the in and out of the relationship. Once trust has been broken, that's why Gina didn't want to move into the house into the apartment with Clint, because she didn't trust Clint. So if she manages to feel like she trusts, him, and then his words come back to bite him, to break that trust, that's going to be bad. So I put a link down there. I put a video down there of Clint in the interview process. And back where Kevin somebody, the host, he'll come in my head. I can't remember his name. But anyway, there are clips of Clint. And Clint is talking about he could be, what did he call himself? He said a trophy husband. So if that was true, then why was he so mad about Gina being so focused on her career? It seems like if he was the man that he said that he was in the beginning, he meets him a woman that loves to get up and go out and make money. It's his job to make sure that she has what she needs so he can usher her right on out the door every day. What is it that you need for me to do for you so that you can go out there and bring home that bacon so that I can fry it when you get back, or when it's delivered, to the house? Because if that's the way you want to do it, then we can get down. I don't see that Clint. I saw a whiny Clint bitching about Gina's business to the point where you had people who review these shows calling Gina all kinds of out of her name. They talked about this woman real bad because of the stuff that Clint said about her. So I'm watching for that. That is incongruent, Clint. Why you mad the woman is obsessed with her business if you could be the trophy husband? Because if she was making millions of dollars, you really wouldn't see her. That's where the problem comes in at, Clint. So you really do need to be careful what you ask for, because Gina is reasonable. She likes that you know, want to go out and say, girl, schedule your last patient for 5 o'clock. I'm coming to get you at 7, and we're going to go to dinner. You know, that's the kind of man, you know, that she wants, you know, in her life. And so, I don't know, Clint. I have my eye on you. And his sister-in-law. No, her sister-in-law. I need to go back. No, that should be down there. It should be, let me see. So, we're talking about, it's at the brunch. It's where they're having the brunches. And his sister-in-law, her sister-in-law, said that she saw a thing between what she knows about Gina and what she heard Clint say to her at the brunch. She said that there's a concern for her about them being able to make this work out. And on that thing with Kevin, what's his name? I didn't clip it. If I need to, you know, later, I actually will, and I do it as a flashback. But the 3 people in the middle said that they didn't think that Clint and Gina was going to work out. And the woman on the end said that she thought that they were going to work out. And Kevin, what's his name, said that he thought that they were going to work out. And then Stasia and Alexis said that they didn't think that Clint and Gina was going to work out. So like I said, if I need to clip that, I will. Okay, so what else with them? Yeah, so... Oh, at the month anniversary thing, that was like one of the few times that I heard Gina say that she thought that with the things, the qualities that she sees in Clint, that she actually is hopeful about their future. So, yeah. And then I don't remember anything that they said about them, you know, on the after show. So, like I said, the information is down there. But who are we talking about next? We are going to talk about the date that Airris took Jasmine on. And they have their vows there waiting on them. And Airris actually, I don't know, I don't even remember what Airris' vows were. But listening to him in this video, you hear him talking about love. And love is something that Airris knows absolutely nothing about. Nothing. He's never even been in love. So how can he even have vows about love? That's like the most hypocritical thing he could have ever sat down and talk. He could have talked about companionship before he could have talked about love. So Jasmine has her a man that does not know God and does not love God. And if you go back and look at the clip where I say flashback, what Jasmine says that she's looking for in a husband, she said she wanted a man of God. That's not what they gave her. They gave her somebody that can speak Christianese. Okay? That's what Airris, a tear. He's a tear that knows how to speak Christianese. Another thing about this Joker, he has a problem with looking at her. So there is something about her that he does that is not appealing to him when his eyes are upon her. I think that's one thing. The other thing is he knows he's not telling her everything that he could be telling her. And he knows that she's not going to want to hear the information that he's telling her. So combine all of that. And I can see why the Joker can't look her in her face. This Joker right here. At the dinner, he decided that no more sex. So does that mean that you can stop talking about it too, Airris? So see, I wish you had thought to say that. If we ain't having it, then I don't want to hear you talking about it in our social spaces, in our personal or our social spaces. So I think that would be fair, because I'm tired of listening to Airris talk about sex. You're not funny, dude. You're not as funny as you think that you are. Okay, so at the dinner, he looked really embarrassed. I mean, not embarrassed. He looked like he wanted to just be invisible. It looked like he wanted to make himself invisible while Jasmine was talking. And then when Nicole was talking to Shaq and Kirsten, he just dropped his head down. It's really funny. I wonder how tortured he feels when he's at these dinners. I mean, these are nice dinners at nice spaces and places. And it's like he can't really enjoy it because he's put himself in the situation. So I actually do get a kick out of watching him be so tortured when he should be enjoying himself. So I think that's it on Airris and Jasmine. Let me make sure I look at my notes before I sign off. Oh, yeah, the other thing he was talking about with Harold. Talk about, yeah, man. Well, I mean, if I had something else that I could see about her, like if she was funny, or if she was a sneakerhead, or if she was fly, with her fashion. She is fly with her fashion. I think Jasmine looks beautiful, and her makeup is flawless, Airris. So, what kind of qualities do you think that you have? You have a joke every now and again, but you ain't as funny as you think that you are either, Airris. I can't deal with this joke. Okay, and then what else? Oh yeah, I said that the month anniversary was just weak. All right, so we at Chris and Nicole. Are we there, please? I think so. So Chris and Nicole. Yeah, so Chris surprises Nicole with the helicopter date. I thought that was all right. Some people thought it was corny. I thought it was all right. I mean, I kind of wondered what he was doing. And then afterwards, I was like, oh, okay, that's not too bad. Oh, like I said, they went on the bus thing with Gina and Clint. And I don't know if that woman knew that they were married at first sight or if she found out at that point. But anyway, I thought that was funny. She was like, okay, both y'all married in 1 month. That's kind of weird. But, Nashville is weird. And I think of Nashville almost as like a little Vegas, for some reason. I don't know why I think that, but that's just, where I am. But anyway, Nicole's dad comes over, and I think he's kind of aggressive. I don't know where this is coming from. He says that Nicole tells him just great things about Chris. So I don't know where this aggression is coming from. And he's telling Chris that he can't let Nicole run all over him, that he's got to have some strength. And in the outtakes, he talks about BDE. But the only time I've seen Chris, okay, let me put this. The last time I saw Chris lacking in male energy was when he was on the honeymoon. He was crying about them dogs. Ever since then, I haven't seen that Chris. Chris has been asserting himself. He's been very clear in his conversation with Nicole, and I think he has brought the energy with his words. So whereas he's not an alpha necessarily, I don't necessarily see him as a beta either. So I don't really know where Nicole's dad is coming from, with this. And I'm going to stop right there because I could go somewhere in my conversation about Nicole's dad, but I'm not. I'm going to stop right there. And so what else did Nicole and Chris do? They actually went on the helicopter ride. Like I said, I've done one. It's really fun. It was nice. It was when I was over in Korea. And I knew these people in the medical unit, helicopter unit. And we got a chance to go to Osan and go shopping, man, and bring the stuff back. So it was nice. It was really cool. Versus other people, they had to take the train. It took a long time to get from Daegu to Osan, and we did it, in a couple of hours and came back. It was really nice. So what else with Chris and Nicole? Oh, I thought it was funny that at the dinner they seemed like they were the more mature, stable couple, able to dole out advice, to the other couples. So that was cute. And Nicole said in one of the after shows that she spends a lot of time with Kirsten and Shaq. So I see what she's trying to do is something because she wants them to be successful, in their relationship. The other thing with Nicole, Chris, I hope he doesn't let her conversation take him somewhere because this woman has been abused. And she has a different experience than him. And so this would be a good time for him to be of a mindset of encouragement for her, not a frustration with her because she has this view of her body that he may not, feel. He's going to have to respect that this is the way that she has felt for X amount of years, and then have that conversation with her about what can he do? Is there anything that he can provide for her to help her on this road to the way that she feels, about herself? He needs to approach this in a different way. So he seemed like he was irritated, with her about it when she was looking at the wedding. They because of the month anniversary thing, Married at First Sight sent them the clip of them when they met at the altar. And Nicole had talked about her makeup getting messed up back when it actually happened. So that was a memory that actually stayed with her that Chris didn't know anything about. So when she was talking about how she didn't like, that her makeup was all messed up, he looked at her like, what are you talking about? Stop it. But it was actually legitimate. Something happened and messed up her makeup. So that's why she was feeling the way that she was feeling, Chris. Is you have to get more information. So, Nicole's did a helicopter ride, wedding video, gave advice to couples during dinner, redneck bus tour, annoyed at Nicole's dislike of her hair and makeup during the wedding. So I think that was pretty good, guys. I'm going to have to give you a story time about this fire and fire insurance and renter's insurance. So anybody who's made it to the end, be looking for that information because we've got a lot going on with tornadoes and flooding and fires and all kinds of stuff, buildings, apartments, being destroyed and this, that, and that. You need to be able to start thinking about this kind of stuff because I have renter's insurance and I can tell you the benefits and the negatives that I see in it, so far that I wish I had known when I was getting my policy. But I'm still glad I got a policy though. I'm glad that I took some action, but I could have done it better, is what I'm trying to say. So be looking for that. And I think I will see you for episode number 12. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and support my channel. Thank you, and take care.